What's going on, everyone? Airtime Junkie here, and today we're going to be talking about what I personally think will eventually replace every roller coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. Before this video starts, I'd just like to mention that I will be picking the best fit for each ride in order to fit the style and design of the park, not just what I would like to see, and Flash, Green Lantern, and Kingda Ka will all be on this list. Starting on the right side of the park and moving towards the far left, let's start with Nitro. This is a tough one. With Nitro's sprawling layout and the behind-the-scenes area on the right side, I think the best replacement for Nitro is an Intamin Giga Coaster. An Intamin Giga Coaster would really make the park feel like Cedar Point, which it seems is the direction that the new Six Flags is taking the park in. Combining the success and failures of Millennium Force and Pantherian into one, maybe even extending the layout over Prospertown Lake, would be a sure hit at the park and be a worthy replacement of such a popular ride. A little bit behind Nitro, you will run into Jersey Devil Coaster. Now, I have not ridden any other MCs besides this one, and hopefully that changes when I go to Hershey Park this year, but from what I've seen and heard, this one is the weakest. It seems like it's slow, and from my experience, there's barely any whip or airtime on any elements besides the first drop. I'm going to be replacing the Jersey Devil Coaster with a Gerstlauer Infinity Inverted Coaster. My reference is Storm the Dragon Legend, and it's a launched suspended coaster, and while it looks small, it also looks like it can pack a punch. I think Great Adventure really could benefit from this addition, and could probably theme it around the Pine Barrens as well. A longer layout would be beneficial, but I don't know if the 2 cycles benefit is still on the table with a longer layout, as the 2 that already exist, which are Storm and Avix, are pretty small. Coming out of the Pine Barrens and past Nitro, we have 3 coasters all packed together. Let's start with the Dark Knight. This Mock Rides Wild Mouse was built in 2008, when Six Flags was on the verge of bankruptcy. My best choice for this one is more of a wish list than a possibility, but I believe that the best solution for what is in my opinion a sad sack of a coaster would be an SNS Axis coaster. While an Axis coaster may seem unrealistic, mainly for the price and for the fact that it's a prototype, I do believe it's got potential. The theming that the new Six Flags could do with this thing, the possibilities are endless. An Axis coaster with a bunch of head choppers and flashing lights would be a great fit in Great Adventure. And if you're looking for a comparison, an Axis coaster themed like Laugh Track or Rock and Roller Coaster would work perfectly. Moving away from Dark Knight and only doing a 180 turn, we have Batman. This one is tough, being confined to a very small amount of space, but I think I'm going to go with the Chance Hyper GTX. A small footprint like this perfectly fits the confined area of Batman, and with Nitro being replaced by an Intamin Giga, I think the perfect new airtime machine in the park would be a GTX like Lightning Run, and could probably still hold up the Batman theme. I would love to see a GTX in the park, especially one that's themed to Batman. Turning around yet again, we'll find the last of the jam-packed coasters, the park's new for 2025 coaster, Flash. Now, as of filming this video, it is the second day of opening weekend, and this thing looks great. Finding a perfect replacement for a brand new ride like this is very hard, so the best option I can think of is a Skyrocket 2 with a custom layout. Maybe after the triple launch and inline twist, instead of dropping back into itself, it could drop into a loop, helix, and then come back to the station. I know this may seem like a lazy option, but there's not a lot of good things that can go in this spot, and when I learned that Great Adventure would be putting Flash in the spot that it's in, I was shocked that anything could even fit in this area. Alright, finally out of the DC area for now. Turning around once again and walking past Batman and Nitro, we have Skull Mountain. I think that Great Adventure really needs a good family coaster, and Skull Mountain is not it. The best option to replace it is the brand new RMC Wild Moose. We haven't seen any of these show up yet, and with Great Adventure's lack of an iBox coaster and lack of a good family coaster, I personally believe this ride would be a great fit at a park this big. By the way, if you were really wondering why I didn't mention Little Devil, there's nothing small enough besides an E&F Miler family coaster that can fit here. So for the sake of this video, I'll replace it with that and we can move on. Next up, we have the Joker, and my pick for this one is kind of unique. I'm possessed is 10 out of 42 in my credits, so my pick for Joker's replacement would be a modern take on an Impulse coaster, but by Vekoma instead of Intamin. I feel like there could be more possibilities here, maybe a scorpion tail element or a vertical loop incorporated to even make the ride of a spinner or a sit down or even a wing. Vekoma actually tried a spinning Impulse before they rebranded, but to see a modern take on the Impulse would be really interesting. Alright, now walking farther down we get to the boardwalk, where we have the now defunct Green Lantern. There's so many great things they can do with this plot of land, and while I have the unpopular enthusiast opinion of loving dive coasters, I think this is a perfect spot for a Vekoma tilt coaster. Now, it doesn't need to be like Iron Rattler, but I think that if Great Adventure was in a better situation in which Flash opened on time, I wouldn't be shocked if Siren's Curse came to Great Adventure instead of Cedar Point. Now we have Superman, and God, this thing is boring. I think that Great Adventure needs a more modern wooden coaster, so let's replace Superman with a GCI Twister. This doesn't need to be anything special. I think that the amount of head choppers on this ride would make it fun on its own, but it would be a good intermediate coaster and a good supporting coaster in a park like this. Now, moving down towards Plaza del Carnaval, we have El Toro, and this thing is way too good to replace, so my best option would be an RMC conversion. A hyper hybrid of Toro would be amazing, and the first ideas that come to mind are a mix of Iron Gwazi, Steel Vengeance, and Twisted Timbers. Hopefully, a ride like this would live up to the hype of the legendary bull, but I'm not sure there's anything that can beat Toro. Taking the Ka Toro pathway towards the Golden Kingdom, we face the easiest decision of the video, the replacement of Kingda Ka. I think this is straightforward, since right after the merger, Six Flags sent out surveys for many of their more cherished parks, and both Kings Island and Great Adventure got this Mach Extreme spinning tower coaster as an option. However, the difference between the two comes where Great Adventure's option was 400 feet tall, and Kings Island's was only 200. This leads many to believe that Kingda Ka will be replaced by this triple-launch, 400-foot tall tower coaster, and I personally strongly believe these rumors. Going back through the Ka Toro pathway and past Toro, we reach Frontier Adventures where we have our last two coasters, starting with Runaway Mine Train. This is a very tough ride to find a replacement for, but my best option is some form of Vekoma sit-down thrill, possibly a Hyperspace Warp. I think the small footprint is good for Hyperspace Warp, and the first coaster to come to mind is Let Coaster, which isn't a Hyperspace Warp. A flyby inversion through the old Skyway Tower would recomplete the iconic picture, where instead of Runaway Mine Train, it would be some form of flyby, plus Ka replacement, plus RMC Toro. Finally, ending the video with the most overrated coaster at the park, we have the original floorless coaster Medusa. I personally believe that both Joker and Medusa are on their way out in the next few years, especially Medusa because 1, it's getting old, and 2, it's sitting right next to an abandoned arena. Now, my best option probably isn't the most popular or practical opinion because I haven't ridden any coasters from this manufacturer, but I think the combination of Medusa and the arena could be replaced by a Gravity Group wooden coaster. I almost put a wooden coaster where Nitro was, but decided against it and was thinking for this, a combination of Hades 360 and Voyage. That's a big ask, I know, but for such a big plot of land, I think the Gravity Group can do a good job making an airtime-packed wooden coaster to draw people towards the back of the park. Medusa is so far away, it can only really be seen from Toro's lift hill and the top of Joker when facing a certain way. Seeing a looping wooden coaster, possibly a hyper, with an inversion over Medusa's old entrance would balance out lines around the park and would be a great crowd pleaser. Alright, that's all. Just in case you forgot everything I said, so that ends the video. I'm now 5 pages deep in script and very tired, but if you watched the video all the way through, be sure to drop a like and a sub, drop a comment if I made good choices, and let me know if you want to see me do this for other parks like Dorney, Hershey, or Coney Island. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!